thing I'm going to talk about is the air quality egg. It's a collaboration I'm working on with a large group of people, a really great global community. And I think that is actually what makes the air quality egg really unique. I mean, the stationary environmental units, you're going to see some later today. It's being done by a lot of people, right? It's really exciting how accessible these kind of tool sets have become. The air quality egg, I think, is unique in that it is entirely community driven. It's probably the most democratic project I've ever participated in, and it's really exciting to see different communities in Amsterdam and in New York working on it, on the fabrication, the development, the productization of it.
A really democratic project, and what makes it democratic?
But I think what makes democratic is that every time there has been, a meetup or a decision needing to be made, we have a Google group, we've got a wiki, these are all publicly accessible. Every time that there's an event or a meetup, all of that is publicly advertised and open all the time to anyone to just join in at any moment.
In Amsterdam, a lot of people use bikes and are in the street all the time, so we were thinking about let's do something with air quality. And we didn't know if you could do something with air quality, but we just wanted to give it a go. So here we are.
I did the first prototype, and then New York built the second prototype.
I've been involved working with Joseph Vedra and Ed Borden at Patch Bay in creating the air quality network, the air quality egg device that they've been playing with and hacking on here.
Our strategy here, I think, is going to be super organized.
Yeah.
We're going to be moving, and people are going to gravitate to us.
If you look at the questions there's basically three categories. There's a technical category, then there's the user interface, and then there's the more the branding stuff, you know?
Huh? So you're
pretty
hardware,
good, right?
hardware,
Pretty
software,
good, right?
branding.
Awesome. We need to get hardware as soon as possible so we can dump it on a table, because that's going to bring people in.
Yeah.
Can we claim a table right now?
We have a table. We have a table.
The workshop is announced to be in room 102.
We're doing it here. We're doing everything here. Having the collaboration between Amsterdam and New York and London is that you sort of break away from your local culture. And I think that's a good thing.
I think this is a process, and I think what's the important thing to understand is that we're building this story together, and as the community expands, the story will become clearer. And today and tomorrow, we're going to try and make some headway on maybe the more technical things here, but really these technical things are still secondary to the community. So what do you think? Are you in? Are you in? We got one.
Yes.
Daniel Prestis. Awesome.
Hi, nice
to meet you. Daniel, yes. My undergraduate is in social communications, advertising. Now I'm studying sociology.
We need you.
Yeah.
So we can because we have a couple of challenges. So this one basically has to do with the technology. So that's not really your thing, but this one has to do with. So the question is do we still want to give this thing a bit of interactivity? What should it do, and what's the story that this then could tell?
I think what we're doing is different in some ways, but the point is that this is a community. So,
well, do you want it to be an open or a closed community?
It's absolutely an open community, right?
That's why you need to make people realize and change their behaviors, right?
So the people in this community want to change their behavior. They want to understand what's going on so that they can change behavior. Kickstarter in 2 weeks. Kickstarter is a great way to expand the community. That's why we're doing it. It's not because of the money. We want to do it for the community.
It's about sensors, because if you have a thing, it needs to communicate something.
Code is very good. The code took a long time.
If we're going to mass produce them, we want to be able to sell it for 50 euros. And with a nice enclosure and manual, and then and some more features. The more sensors we can put in it, the better. But currently, the sensors are the limiting factor.
How many do you have? One.
This one is 2 sensors, but we need at least 2 more, because all the sensors are also humidity dependent and temperature dependent, which means that you always need a temperature and humidity sensor.
We realized, one, you can go to the talks today and realize how much a challenge that is to do it yourself, that they realize that building a really good sensor is going to cost you a lot of money, and that this $10,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 sensor package is not totally unjustified in the amount of engineering that had to go behind it. But at the same time, we don't know the processes that happen. So the political nature of the open source movement, I think, in a lot of ways is deconstructing this kind of very closed door thing. The kind of the distributed nature of it, I think it's totally relevant and totally parallel to that. It's that kind of we'll take it into our own hands in a lot of way, and
we become very much reliant on our own ability to improvise, because we cannot assume that the world that we know today will be the same as tomorrow. For that you need a skill to be creative, and for that you need curiosity, and for that you need trust.
What they don't have is an enclosure. There's no enclosure. I mean, it's the nanode, a sheet.
We need enclosures for our air quality egg, but the egg is not finished yet. The manufacturing of the egg is not done. The chicken is not ready. So we're going to simulate an egg with a flurry cup, which is the closest thing we could find in our minds to an egg-shaped thing. Further up. Further up. There!
Yeah.
Oh, what is a cup? Oh, you see the white one over there?
Yeah, the white. So we take 2 ice creams, and then 6 of those cups for our science project.
Thank you.
And thanks.
I thought it was in the same building.
No, it's not.
Okay, Unit 01
I
works
thought it was a
perfect.
different building.
It's listed as workshop.
Just go to add
So this is how you make an egg ice cream. So you go to Burger King or McDonald's or your favorite local snack place, punch a hole in it with a sophisticated tool like that.
Yo, we're about people return from their mission?
No, I thought you were with us.
No.
Yeah, no, they have not returned.
Power cord.
We're done. We're ready.
Then you have the cup.
Well, we're about to start up.
It's perfectly designed for the egg, you would almost say. So connect it to the cord, and I think that's it. A baby can do it.
He wants to install a sensor outside of this window.
I would like to go outside here and put 6 sensors up.
The infrastructure that the data flows through between a device and another device, or a device and a person, is really needs to be sort of transparent. The great part about using a platform like Patchbay is that it's uniform. So I can create something now that uploads data to Patchbay, and then I can create something that downloads data from Patchbay, and it can read anything. All I have to do is basically program the just a little bit of output from a device, or program a little bit of input from a device, and all the other stuff is handled. And so in that sense, that the virtual network in a lot of ways is non-existent, or is all present, depending on how you want to look at it. But it's really about the thing and the end user. Then that's the perfect place to be in a lot of ways. Is the stuff that happens in between you don't need to know about it. That's the magic in a lot of ways. Like whatever, it gets there. It comes from here, goes to there. In between there is magic.
Let's make some magic. Right, I think we can go to that other building, that other UCL building where we were yesterday. All right, water stones. There's no window though. Let's do water stones. I need to use just a power outlet, and I need to hang. No. Just for today.
Probably not without
Probably
permission,
not.
I'm afraid.
I have this card with your logo on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, without permission, we've got to do it.
All right. Okay, going over there. The computer fair. Come on. Yeah, can I just ask a favor? I need to just use this power. Can I use the power outlet behind there? I just want to put something over by the window. It's this this thing. It's an air quality sensor.
It's not going to blow up, is it?
No, it's not going to blow up, I swear. Is that cool? I'm going to go with it. I'm afraid, though, that if 4 hours of data is not really going to be enough, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's enough to see something.
Oh yeah, the Patchbay link. Did you check it?
Yeah, here I have it.
Go and prototyping the sensors and soldering up the circuits and working on debugging everything, and it's getting information. Whether that information is pertinent, that's going to be the long haul of this. And I think that there's a lot of presentations today specifically about validating this data scientifically and validating it under research and then also validating it personally. And I think that the personal approach is going to be much more successful, I feel, right away than a research approach.
Accurate government stuff, well, from KCL, from King's College, that's 15 minutes. That's what they're doing. So just so.
I mean, we're doing every 5 seconds. Apparently, that's what we're doing.
Good. Okay.
And one of the issues I would have with it is how credible is it? Because we're always suspect about government data. There's not enough of it. It may have been massaged, whatever, you know. So hence the idea. Let's go out and collect citizen data, but then I think you've got to sell that citizen data to the citizens.
Even if our data is not valid scientifically or in that technical direction, I'm hoping that we get the right information to say there needs to be more study. That air quality sensors like this really can be the go-to for application of real high-end sensors. I mean, the government has picked places to put sensors, but what if we can say, well, there's real pockets here that you need to be careful of, or there, you know, right around the school, there's this traffic intersection that, you know, we have really weird readings, and we've changed our sensor out 3 times, and we're still getting really weird readings. You know, further investigation, and that's a win right there. You know, whether or not the data is great or not, I don't really care.
So we came here with some prototypes. Do you want to show a naked prototype?
The high-class BK Fusions Real Dairy Ice Cream enclosure. This is high-quality DIY stuff you're talking about here.
So we've got on the boards, on the sensor units, carbon monoxide, NO2, temperature and humidity sensors. And these are built off of a Nanode, which is an Ethernet-enabled Arduino-compatible board.
3 of these hanging outside different places. All the data was sent to PatchBay.
To patchbay.com. So there's a lot of noise in the data. I have a suspicion that since these were packed with so much in the last 24 hours, a lot of the sensors are not necessarily, right now the data is not so reliable.
Basic graph is showing 24 hours of data, and we don't have 24 hours of data. So the first flat line is like the first 24 hours that these were in our suitcase in the apartment.
So this is the first time that we've had these units together, and we have no way to interpret this data yet. We have no idea what this means, but now we are...
we're a step closer.
We're a step closer.
One of the interesting things about the air quality egg will be, I think, once it's deployed and there's a fair amount of people using it, that will make enough data available for people to use. And then, so what will be interesting then is actually what will people do with that data.
From academia standpoint, it's nice to make, but it's much nicer to see it in the hands of thousands of people worldwide using it and seeing all the data streaming to the PatchBay network, seeing lots of graphs around the world.
The technology is facilitating, and people's mindset is also facilitating this interconnectivity of everything with everyone at all times. The result is that you get more and more and more stuff to connect to, but also more formats, and so it becomes more difficult to get connected to all these things. So I really, really think that everybody should go into this mindset of sharing stuff and working towards something that can be interconnected, rather than a bunch of very interesting applications but that are sitting in their local minimum. We have to go to the global minimum, let's put it that way.
We are not organized yet, but there are many separate projects all over the world where people are doing this. There are projects in New York, in Brazil, in California, in Italy. Basically everywhere where people are concerned about their quality, their air quality.
William Gibson line about the future is not here, the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. It's the same thing. We were already living in a heavily connected world. I don't think we'll ever see a point where everything is perfectly and ubiquitously connected, because that would mean that we'd stopped making any kind of change. There's always going to be places where there's loose connections or places where there's no connection. And the challenge isn't to solve that. The challenge is to figure out what things need to be appropriately connected and how to make that happen, and what things to leave well enough alone.